as employee of the Aga Khan University, and your name, your department, and also maybe explain your pseudonym, Luay Abdulaله.
My name is Luay Abdulaله Muhammad, and I have been working actually for ISMC, for the Institute for the Study of Muslim Civilizations since 2009 as a fractional Arabic language teacher. But my real or my extra work actually is being a writer, and I have been writing for nearly half a century, or since I was very young. I didn't write that much. I managed to publish 4 collections of short stories in Arabic, of course. Then also another 2 novels in the last 20 years. The first one is called Comedy of Divine Love, and it is inspired by some of Ibn Arabi ideas, Sufi ideas. And the latest one is called Jاذبية الصفر, which means weightlessness, and that took me nearly 8 years to finish it. It was published in March this year.
Could you give us a synopsis of that last book?
Actually, the latest novel, or my new novel, actually, it is set during the time that started from the day Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, that is 2nd of August 1990, until the end of the war, which was nearly 28th of February 1991. And the novel follows a group of Iraqi people who live in London. It is a mixture of refugees and immigrants. But these people, 4 or 5 people, they were nearly or completely integrated to the society and to the life of their adoptive country, Britain. But what happened when the preparations for war started, especially in Britain, and Britain was an important part in this war, they had this dilemma of being part of this society, very strongly part of this new adoptive country, but at the same time they have their own country, original country, the country that they were born in, they lived their childhood, they lived their adolescent age period, and they lived their the first years of their youth also. It started to penetrate in their subconsciousness and their dreams, and all of a sudden they found themselves like trapped between the two things, between this new country, their country. They spend a lot of time, they work for it, and this country is preparing itself to destroy their own country or their original country. And that's the novel. That is the structure of it. And of course, through that one, we can see different kind of levels, different kind of periods of Iraq since the establishment of Iraqi state in 1920, and through these different generations that we can see here. So it is like each person represents one generation from Iraq, but also we will see through that novel the whole events of the 20th century, and the 20th century, the events, the ideologies, the mentality. So actually, although it represents a sample, a small sample, a group of Iraqi people living here in London, but we can see maybe the whole 20th century, the whole life of people. That is what it is.
Oh, that's amazing. So, what was your inspiration for writing this particular novel?
Actually, this novel, I can see it was the decision of taking, the decision of writing the novel. It came thanks to the novel written by the great Russian novelist Leo Tolstoy, War and Peace. Because War and Peace, actually, it had two narrative lines. One narrative line represents the real historical characters and real historical events, while the second line represents the fiction characters and fictitious events. And what Tolstoy did, actually, he mixed up the two lines. And at certain points, the fictitious characters would meet the real historical characters, like the generals, Kutsov, the leader of the Russian army, or Napoleon, or other characters.
And is this what happens in your novel?
Exactly, that's what happened. Actually, what I took from that, it was like a license for me to write similar, or let us follow. And that is what happened in my novel, actually, because I had two lines. We had what you call it, real historical characters, like Saddam Hussein, like Bush the father, like John Major here. So you can see these characters are real historical characters, and also the events of the war and the documents and all the materials, all the preparations, everything that is correct. But in parallel to that line, we have the fictitious characters and also fictitious events of these people. Mixing them up together through TV, through newspapers, it created a kind of novel that had the two sides, as it was in War and Peace.
Oh, that's amazing. So can you describe briefly your writing process? What is your writing process?
My writing process, actually, it changes from one, maybe from each work has different kind of process, but it is actually the most important thing for me is that I don't struggle to write. I let the things come to me. So I would say always things write themselves through me. So I play like a role of a medium who try to just bring up the spirits from the invisible world. So that's what it seemed to me. Like sometimes I read a short paragraph in a novel or in a book, and something like came to my mind, like a conception of that idea. Like I remember, like in the novel, The Comedy of Divine Love, I was watching a play about, let us say, the Sufi love here in London for a company came from Egypt. And at some point it happened, it clicked. But that is always, it is like a small, vague framework. And I started working on that one through recording what I say. The characters will start developing, exactly like the embryo when it started moving, and that's what I feel. And at the point, the second thing is coming, when I feel that everything is in a place, actually. And I think maybe at that time, I knew well these characters, they become in some way friends, actually. I started writing, but also through the writing, because I give it a lot of time, like it took me nearly 7 years or 8 years to write Comedy of Divine Love. The characters become like real characters in some way. And they gave me also some more secrets, and I knew them better through what they said to me. And that's the process of writing for me. This is why I don't write every year or apply. I think writing means, for me, is I become a completely different person after finishing the whole work. It is knowing a group of people, knowing what they want, and I am in the process of, not therapist, maybe more a medium mostly, to give them the opportunity to achieve themselves through the papers.
Beautiful. That's really lovely. So, what was your greatest challenge in writing your book?
My great challenge actually in writing this book, I would say more than one challenge. One challenge is about time, how long it will take me. And in the beginning, I put 2 years to write it, from 2015 to 2017. But I realized I need more time, so I moved it up to 2018, then 2019, and it ended up I finished the novel in 2023, which means that if you take the time, it's nearly 7.5 years. And that is because in writing fiction, it is not like writing an essay. You said, okay, I write it and I have got ideas and I put them all together in 1 week or 2 weeks or one month. Here, the characters will decide, and you have to be just in their service rather than the other way around. And this is one challenge actually, because it took me. They became with me. These characters, they live with me day and night. Whenever I wake up in the morning, they are here sitting around me. So they become friends. Like my wife would ask me, how is X and how is Y, because they become with me in bed and everywhere. And that's one thing. The second thing also, the real challenge, is to make sure that you don't write one extra sentence that doesn't have a role in the text. And it affects the rhythm, it affects the structure. And it's like listening to a symphony. You can't put a small sentence or that will make it completely not acceptable. And this is why every day, whenever I write one part, the next day I read the whole writing before that and make sure that what it was written, it goes well with the previous part. And if it is not good, I will delete it and rewrite it maybe 2 or 3 times or 4 times. So this is another task, is repeating and make sure that I will write the same in 500 pages. People will not be able to leave the book and at any time. So I try to say that the success of this novel, of any novel, is that the first sentence will grab the people until the end of it, no matter how long or no matter how short it is. Maybe I am wrong, but I will see how things go with my readers.
Okay, perfect. So you've said already that when you finished this book, you were completely different. Can you tell us how you were completely different at the end of this book?
Actually, when I finished the novel, I felt actually in the beginning an emptiness, and as if I betrayed these people and left them to their existence, which they didn't choose. I was responsible for them to be around actually in our life in some way. And what I felt after that, I felt like I understood better, like the novel, the whole research, the whole thinking. It gave me the chance to open a door, a gate actually, to see how our history was built, how the 20th century made us as we are now. And maybe how 21st century would make the new generations and 19th century. So all of a sudden I found that people or the individuals are part of a huge unity in history and in ideas, thoughts, ideologies, technology. And that is what I discovered. And that, of course, made me much more able to understand people, to understand. I will stop judging people in some way. And that's, I think, the novel helped me to be. And I would say that the characters taught me, as I helped them to be real in some way on paper, they also taught me a lot of things in this domain.
Okay, perfect. Now, the next question is about the library, but actually specifically the Aga Khan Library associated with the Aga Khan University. So, were any of the Aga Khan's library's resources useful to you in writing this book?
Actually, yes, like
Can you say the resources of the Aga Khan
I think
Library?
the resources of Aga Khan University are extremely well, very good, very rich also. And they helped me to go and read the history, to read about ideas, thoughts, and that they gave me a lot of support actually. And also the connection, or Aga Khan University has got very good links with different libraries, including the British Library. And fortunately, British Library is not far away from here, 15 minutes or 10 minutes walk, and that made me like addict. Every day I would go to the library and work and pick up all the articles, hundreds of articles and reports written about this preparation for the war after the invasion of Saddam Hussein to Kuwait until and after the war that took place. So plenty of materials, but I would say maybe I read the whole article and I pick up one sentence to put it or to insert it in the narrative line. And you can imagine how much time, how much wasted time actually to read an article of 1,000 words and I pick up one sentence. And that's what happened actually.
So finally, what words of advice or encouragement would you share with a new author?
Actually, my advice to any a new author or somebody who is inspiring to become a fiction writer. I don't know about other writers, but fiction writers these days, it is not as it used to be before. And because we have got the time, a specific time, everybody got a spare time. Now you are sharing the time for reading with Facebook, with TikTok, with Twitter, or now it is called X. I don't know what it will be tomorrow called. And you have also YouTube, you have got, so all these, and also we have got the music and everything. And that makes what we got of time is very limited. So I would suggest that if anybody wants to think that they can be a star as a writers, like what happened in the 1920 with Hemingway or with other writers, nowadays we don't have that opportunity. You have to accept that you are like a Sufi living in your small room and trying to unify yourself with the world through writing. And what you need to do actually is to write something that all these areas, the cinema, the TV, the series, they cannot produce. And that is a challenge for every writer, for every fiction writer, to make what you write is important or necessary. But of course, in the end of the day, the number of readers today is much smaller. And you can imagine 100 years ago, everybody would read novels because that's the main entertaining way. But nowadays, you have got plenty of other things. So it is a challenge. And also make sure that the readers today, they are quality readers. They are more intellectual than what they used to be. They are demanding. So as a writer, you need to read a lot. You need to study a lot in different areas. Nowadays, you have all connections between physics, philosophy, Sufism, history, anthropology, everything, mythology. So it is a huge task. That's what I think.
Okay, well, thank you very, very much.
Pleasure.